Hello and welcome to Storytime with Mr. Brown. Today we'll be reading Chapter 7 of the Billionaire Boy, Gerbils on Toast. I bought you something, said Joe. He and Bob were sitting on the bench in the playground, watching the more agile kids play football. Just because you're a billionaire doesn't mean you have to buy me anything, said Bob. I know, but... Joe bought a large bar of dairy milk out of his bag. Bob's eyes couldn't help but light up a little. We can share it, said Joe, before snapping off a tiny square of chocolate, then breaking that tiny square in half. Bob's face fell. I'm only joking, said Joe. Here, he handed Bob the bar to help himself. Oh no, said Bob. What? Said Joe. Bob pointed to the grubs were walking slowly across the playground towards them, right through the game of football. Not that anyone dared complain. Quick, let's make a run for it, said Bob. Where? The dining room. They won't dare go in there. No one does. Why? You'll see. When they burst into the dining room, it was completely empty, aside from a lone dinner lady. The grubs burst in a few paces behind them, their genders still uncertain. If you aren't eating, get out! Shouted Mrs. Trafe. But Mrs. Trafe, said Edith Daviswood, I said out! The twins reluctantly retreated as Joe and Bob tentatively made their way to the serving counter. Mrs. Trafe was a large, smiley soul of a dinner lady age. Bob had explained on the way to the canteen that she was nice enough, but her food was truly revolting. The kids in the school would rather die than eat anything she cooked. In fact, they probably would die if they ate anything that she cooked. Who's that then? Said Mrs. Trafe, peering at Joe. This is my friend, Joe, said Bob. Despite the vile smell in the canteen, Joe felt warmth spread through him. No one had ever called him their friend before. Now, what would you like today, boys? Mrs. Trafe said with a warm smile. I have a very nice badger and onion pie, some deep fried rust, or for the vegetarians, I have jacket potato with sock cheese. It all looks so nice, said Bob, lying, as the grubs stared in at them through the grimy windows. Mrs. Trafe's cooking was truly unspeakable. A typical week menu for the school canteen looked like this. Monday, soup of the day, wasp gerbils on toast. Hare lasagna, the vegetarian option, or brick cutlet, all served with deep fried cardboard. And dessert was a slice of sweat cake. On Tuesday, we had soup of the day, caterpillar consommé, macaroni snot, which is the vegetarian option, or roadkill bake, or slipper frittata, all served with spider's web salad, and for dessert it was toenail ice cream. Yum! Wednesday, soup of the day was cream of hedgehog, parrot kagri, which may contain nuts, or dandruff risotto, or bread sandwich, which is a slice of bread between two slices of bread, or char-grilled kitten, the healthy option, or soil bolognese, all served with either boiled wood or deep-fried onion fillings. Dessert was squirrel dropping tart with cream or ice cream. Thursday was Indian Day. Soup of the day was turban. To start, we had paper poppadoms, A4 or A3 size, with chutney. Main course was wet wipe tandoori, vegan option, or moth korma, spicy, or newt vindaloo, very spicy, all served with bogey bhajis. For dessert, there was a refreshing sand sorbet. And for Friday, the soup of the day was terrapin. Or we had pan-fried otter steaks, or owl quiche, which was kosher, or boiled poodle, not suitable for vegetarians, all served with a slice of gravy dessert. Mouse mousse. It's so hard to choose, said Bob desperately, scouring the trays of food for something edible. I think we'll just have 2 jacket potatoes, please. Is there any chance I could have it without the sock cheese? Pleaded Joe. Bob looked hopefully at Mrs. Trafe. I could sprinkle on some earwax shavings if you prefer, or a showering of dandruff, offered Mrs. Trafe with a smile. I think I'll just have it totally plain, please, said Joe. Some boiled mould on the side, perhaps. You are growing boys, offered Mrs. Trafe, wielding a spoon of something green and unspeakable. I'm on a diet too, Mrs. Trafe, said Joe. Me as well, said Bob. That's a shame, boys, said the dinner lady dolefully. I have a smashing dessert on today, jellyfish and custard. My absolute favourite too, said Joe. Never mind. He took his tray to one of the empty tables and sat down. As he put his knife and fork into the potato, he realised that Mrs. Trafe had forgotten to cook it. How are your spuds? Called Mrs. Trafe across the hall. Delicious, thank you, Mrs. Trafe, Joel called back as he pushed his raw potato round the plate. It was still covered in soil, and he noticed a maggot burrowing out of it. I hate it when they are too well done. This is perfect. Good, she said. Bob was trying to chew his, but it was so utterly unedible, he started crying. Something the matter, boy? Called Mrs. Trafe. Oh no, it's delicious. That these are tears of joy, said Bob. Ding! Once again, that wasn't your doorbell, reader. That was the bell to signal the end of lunch. Joe let out a sigh of relief. Dinner hour was over. What a shame, Mrs. Trafe said. We have to go to maths lessons now. Mrs. Trafe limped over and inspected their plates. You've hardly touched them, she said. Sorry, it was just so filling and really, really tasty though, said Joe. Said candid Bob, still crying. Well, it doesn't matter. I can put them in the fridge for you and you can finish them off tomorrow. Joe and Bob shared a horrified look. Really? I don't want you to go into any trouble, said Joe. No trouble at all. See you then. I've got some specials tomorrow. It's the anniversary of the bombing of Pearl Harbor, so it's Japanese Day. I'm doing my armpit hair sushi, followed by tadpole tempura. Boys? I think the grubs have gone, said Bob as they sneaked out of the canteen. I've just got to use the bog. I'll wait for you, said Joe. He leaned against the wall as Bob disappeared through the door. Usually, Joe would have said that the lavatories were smelly, and he'd have been horrified to have used them, after the privacy of his own ensuite bathroom, with emperor-sized bath, but the truth was that the toilets didn't smell as bad as the canteen. Suddenly, Joe sensed 2 figures looming behind him. He didn't need to turn around. He knew it was the grubs. Where is he? Said one. He's in the boys' loo. But you can't go in there, said Joe. Well, not both of you anyway. Where's the chocolate bar? Asked the other. Bob's got it, said Joe. Well, we'll wait for him then, said the grubs. The other grub turned to Joe, a deadly look in his eyes. Now give us £1. Unless you want a dead arm, that is. Joe gulped. Actually, I'm glad I bumped into you two guys. Well, guys and a girl, obviously. Obviously, said Dave or Sue. Give us £1. Wait, said Joe. It's just, I wondered if... Give him a dead arm, Sue, said a grub, revealing for perhaps the first time which of these twins was male and which was female. But then the grubs grabbed Joe, spun him round, and he lost track again. No, wait, said Joe. The thing is, I want to make you two an offer. What would that offer be? I don't know. We're going to have to find out in Chapter 8 of The Billionaire Boy. But until then, I'll see you next time. Goodbye.